What is up, everybody? This is All Things Entertaining here, bringing you the brand new video. And today we have a new plant archetype coming out of Selection 10. I don't know what this set's going to be called in the new TCG. I'm pretty sure they'll change the name, or maybe they'll keep the name Selection 10 for some reason. Is this plant archetype going to be the next best plant archetype, or is it going to be like Rika? Well, I actually am pretty confident in this archetype being at least better than Rika, but not by much. Let's just jump right into it. Actually, I'm actually kind of goading you guys for a minute. Actually, I think this deck is actually better than it looks. People are really underrating the value of this deck, and I think it's actually better than what people are leading on. So let's just jump right into the cards, and then we're going to talk about them. The first card that we have here is Sandseed Genius Loki. Just so you know, Sans is Spanish/Italian for saint or holy, so that's what this is about. It's just a level 1 vanilla monster with 0 attack and 600 defense. It's a plant earth monster. The reason why this is important is because it actually synergizes with the rest of the deck. It actually allows you to do a lot of things with the deck in and of itself. If you play stuff like Rescue Rabbit, you have access to all your other plays and stuff like that. It's just an easy card to get to shoot you into the archetype. It's actually, I think it's actually maybe a 2 or a 3 of, actually, despite the fact that it looks like it's kind of garbage, which it is. But anyway, we're going to move on. Sandvine Maiden. It's a level 1 Earth Plant effect monster with 0 attack and 0 defense. You can only use the first effect once per turn. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a plant monster you control that was special summoned from the extra deck, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, negate that effect. It's a nice hand trap effect, but it is a when instead of if, so it can miss some timing. If it was an if, it would be significantly better. But being able to special summon this card for free and then negate an effect that your opponent is already going to be doing is pretty nice. I think this card is going to be a 2 of in the deck, but I'm not entirely sure. To be quite honest, the second effect is if your opponent cannot target Sun Avalon and Sun Vine spell and trap cards you control with effects. So that's pretty good. There is actually a continuous trap card that is actually bonkers in this deck, and we'll actually go over that when we get there. The third card here is Sandseed Shadow. It's a level 1 Earth Plant effect monster with 0 attack and 400 defense, and you can only use each of this card's effect once per turn. If you control a plant normal monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. This has a lot of synergy with not only the level 1 that we just talked about earlier, but it has a lot of synergy with the level 4 plant tuner monster that is a normal monster called Angel Trumpeter, which is a tuner. So I'm seeing some spicy needle fiber combos just going on with this card. If you have both this card and the Angel Trumpeter in your hand, boom, you have a needle fiber. Effectively, Rescue Rabbit is a 1-card needle fiber now as well, because you can just have this card in your hand too. It's pretty good. I think it also gives you a lot of Link 1 potential, also gives you a lot of Link 2 potential, also gives you some Rank 1 potential if we were going to play stuff like Ghost Rick Durandal, which would be pretty nice. The second effect is you can banish this card from your graveyard when then target one of your linked Link 2 or lower Sun Avalon or Sun Vine monsters. You cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except plant monsters. Also special summon 1 monster from your with the same name from your extra deck, but its effects are negated. This is just nice utility. It's just nice utility. I'm not really sure where you're going to put this in. You can summon one of the trees, which we're going to get into. You can special summon all the other Link ones, and you can also special summon the Link 2. And we're going to get into that when we get there. So, yeah. Sunseed Twin. It's a level 2 Earth effect planet monster with 0 attack, 800 defense, and you can only use each effect once per turn. If this card is normal, special summon, and you control a Sun Avalon Link monster, you can target 1 level 4 or lower plant normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Again, back to that Angel Trumpeter. Stuff. It is very easy to pull off. It's lucky that this is level 4 or lower, and I'm pretty sure there are other plant monsters that are nice that you might want to play for this that are normal monsters, but I'm not really entirely sure about that. I haven't really done too much research into that. I just know Angel Trumpeter is probably the best one you want to play. So yeah. The second effect is you can banish this card from your graveyard and 1 Link monster you control. If there are 2 or more plant Link monsters with the same name in your graveyard, special summon 1 of them. This allows you to get some advantage from this card being in your graveyard, but the heavy restriction of this card being you have to send a Link monster you control. Granted, it could be any Link monster, so if you're done with, like, I don't know, your Link Spider or something like this, because you're probably gonna be playing Link Spider in this deck. You got that extra special summon, so it might not be too bad. Maybe like a 2 or a 3, maybe 2 copies. You got one of the Link ones. Sun Avalon Dryas. It's a Link 1 with 0 attack, and the Link arrow is pointing downwards, and it requires 1 level 4 or lower plant monsters. So basically any plant monster you could think of. The first effect is you could, if this card is Link summoned to the extra monster zone by using a Sun Seed Genius Loki as material, you can add 1 Sunvine spell or trap from your deck to your hand. This is actually a little bit relevant because the Sun Seed trap is actually pretty good. The second effect is it cannot be targeted by attacks, but does not prevent your opponent from attacking directly. They all have this little clause where they can't be targeted for attacks, but they can't be attacked directly. It's just kind of like annoying, sort of a cheesy casual strategies that you see all the time. The third effect is once per turn, if you take battle or effect damage, you can gain an equal amount of life points. And if you do, special summon 1 Sunvine monster from your extra deck. Bear in mind, when you special summon these cards from the extra deck, they're not properly summoned considered. So if they get destroyed, you can't really summon them back from the graveyard or wherever else because they weren't effectively properly summoned yet. Not sure how good this is. It does help you escalate your plays a little bit and helps you get out some of the stuff a lot easier than most decks. But for sure, it's going to be kind of tough how you're going to be able to revive these without breaking the game, The second Link with 2 here is Sun Avalon Dradus. It's like I said, it's a Link 2 Earth Plant Link effect monster with 0 attack, and the Link markers are bottom left, bottom right. And it requires 2 monsters, including a Sun Avalon Link monster. So you're going to have to use the first one to link up into this one. It cannot be targeted for an attack, but does not prevent your opponent from attacking directly. Up to twice per turn, you could take if you take battle damage or effect damage, you could gain an equal amount of life points, and if you do, special summon 1 Sunvine monster from your extra deck. Again, just going on from what you would normally do with this as just Link climbing. It's basically just all this is for. You play one of this, I think, in your extra deck. Then you got the Link 3, which has 0. It's a plant Link monster. The Link arrows are bottom left, bottom, and bottom right. It requires 2 or more plant monsters. Cannot be targeted for an attack except for but does not prevent your opponent from attacking directly. Up to thrice per turn, if you take battle damage for battle or effect damage, you can gain that amount of life points. So if you do special summon a Sunvine monster from your extra deck, there's a Link 4 that you're going to special summon with this, definitely. Once per turn, when a monster you control when a monster this card points to is targeted for an attack, you can negate the attack, and if you do, move that target to another monster in the main monster zone. So just a little bit of effect negation during your opponent's turn. It's not too bad. Next, we have Sun Avalon Drya Trentier. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's a Link 4. The Link monsters are Link arrows are top, bottom, left, bottom, top, bottom, left, bottom, and bottom right. So it's Saryuja Link monsters. If this card is Link summoned, you can add 1 Sun Avalon spell trap card from your deck to your hand. So it just gives you the Sun Avalon spell trap, which is really good. The second effect is same as the first one. Cannot be attacked directly, but does not prevent your opponent from attacking directly. But this one also can't be destroyed by card effects, which is really good. So it's just really annoying to get over. So it's kind of actually almost invincible. It's just almost invincible. You gotta bounce this card or something. It can't really be sent to the graveyard. The third effect is you contribute 1 Link monster this card points to. Destroy cards up to your opponent controls up to the number of attributed monsters Link ratings. So it's kind of like what's it called? It's kind of like Salaman Great Rage, where you would target like your Link 2 or Link 3, and you would pop a card up to the Link rating if you had them extra linked or relinked. I mean, it's definitely really good, for sure. We have 3 more Link monsters. 2 of them aren't that great, but the other one is actually kind of good. One Link. This is Sunvine Gardener. It's a Link 1 with 600 attack. The Link arrow is top. And it requires a plant normal monster, which is any plant normal monster, so that's pretty good. If a Sun Avalon monster you control leaves the field by a card effect, destroy this card. That's pretty bad. The second effect is when a card declaring an attack when an attack is declared involving this card linked to a Sun Avalon monster and an opponent's monster, you can activate this effect. Have the battle damage you would take from that battle. This effect is pretty trash. The third effect is when this card is destroyed by battle, you can activate this effect at the end of the battle phase, and after the end of the damage step. So it's just, not that great. I mean, it's just like your opponent has to willingly attack into this first and foremost, and two, you take half damage, which is fine, I guess, but it then just doesn't really do anything. It just ends the battle phase if it gets destroyed by battle. But all they have to do to really out this effect is just destroy a Sun Avalon Link monster that you have. I'm not sure if you can even have this card on the field if you don't have a Sun Avalon monster or Link monster, because if you don't, this card might just die. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to be ruled, but it sounds pretty absurd, to be honest with you. The second one is Sunvine Healer. This one's a little bit better than the first one. I'm just going to skip straight to the effects because they have the same stat line and they both are top as the Link Arrow. If a Sun Avalon Link monster you control leaves the field by a card effect, destroy this card. Again, don't know why that's there. It seems pretty terrible. Seems pretty restrictive. If this card is special summon, you could target one Sun Avalon Link monster or Link monster on the field, gain life points equal to its Link rating times 300. So at the most, you're going to be getting like 1,200 attack or 1,200 life points, which, I mean, we're past the days of Psychic Life Transfer being a good synchro monster, so definitely not worth your time. When a plant Link monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can gain 600 life points. This is not good in the slightest. You definitely want to play one of each, though, because I mean, your opponent might be dumb and not know what Gardena does and not read cards. And sometimes life gain is pretty good. This card is obvious. This card's actually pretty good in Arrow Mages more than it is this deck, actually. So you played 3 of this in Arrow Mages. Anyway, joking aside, Sunvine Thrasher. This is actually the good card. It has 800 attack and the Link Arrow is bottom. It requires a plant normal monster, but has the same kind of dumb effect where if Sun Avalon Link monster is destroyed, you just discard dies. But the two effects are actually pretty good. If this card is special summon, you could target one Sun Avalon monster. You could on the field. This card gains attack equal to its Link rating times 800. So if you have the Link 4, this card becomes a 4,000 beat stick as a Link 1. So that's pretty good. It's pretty easy to do, and all you need to do is have a plant normal monster, which is pretty amazing, which is just pretty easy to do anyway. The third effect is when this card is destroyed by opponents when this card is destroyed. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon that monster to your Link monster to a zone of Link monster points to, but have its effects negated. So it's essentially a Goyo Guardian for the archetype. It's actually quite good. Yeah, I think this card's a definite 2 or 3 of. It's really good. It's super strong. And then we got 2 more cards. We have the Continuous Spell here. This card I think is a one of. It's not terrible, but it's not the best thing in the world. It has 3 effects, so let's just read right into them. You can only activate this card by sending 1 card from your hand to the graveyard while you control a Sun Avalon Link monster. So you have to have the Link monster first, which is kind of dumb. But the first effect is you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except plant monsters. That's super restrictive. So you kind of want to play this after you've done your major combos if you're playing like Needle Fiber and stuff like that. Once per turn, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower plant normal monster from your graveyard. That's not bad. Having the ability to special summon a plant normal monster with Trumpeter or something like that just gives you a little bit more leeway to combo into stuff. It's not too bad. And once per turn during your opponent's end phase, you can send this face-up card to the graveyard, then target 1 continuous trap card in your graveyard, then set it to your spell and trap card zone, which we're going to get into, which is actually not a bad effect. But this card has to be you have to send this card to the graveyard to do that. And it has to be during your opponent's end phase, which is super slow, but the trap is, I think, kind of worth it, which we're going to get into right here, which has only 2 effects. You can only activate 1 of this card's name per turn, and you can only use the second effect once per turn. When this card is activated, if you control a Link 4 or higher plant monster, you can negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. That's actually super good. It's a continuous spell, or it's a continuous trap. It's a win, unfortunately, but it's a continuous effect, so your opponent will have to kind of out this card. It's kind of like a skill drain for the deck. If your opponent monster battles during the damage calculations, you can make it gain attack equal to the total attack of all monsters it points to until the end of this turn, which won't be too much, but definitely will be enough to kind of mitigate some of the damage that you might take from it. At least if you have this card, it doesn't say original attack. So if you have this card at 4,000 attack, yeah, your Link 4 will also gain 4,000 attack, but your opponent could just remove each of them one by one first, and then, your opponent could just remove them, and then you just not deal with that effect. But the first effect is what you're really wanting here. You have access to this card at pretty much all points in the game. Like at no time do you not have this card in your hand. So yeah, I think this archetype is better than it seems. I think it needs a little bit more support. Apparently, the anime has a few more cards that this deck is missing, and hopefully we get those, and hopefully they're actually pretty good in terms of what they are. So far, I'm actually liking what they're doing. I'm not sure if they're better than Rika, but they might actually be a little bit stronger than Rika in the terms of what they could do, because even though they rely on a normal monster to do a lot of their things, that normal monster happens to be a level 1, which has a lot of synergy with the rest of the deck. So. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. This has been All Things Entertaining, signing out.